My name is Sarah. I'm 29 years old, and I'm drowning. Not in water, but in something far more suffocating: the relentless, crushing weight of being everything to everyone while slowly becoming nothing to myself. I live in a 3-bedroom house in the suburbs of Phoenix with my husband, Marcus, and our 18-month-old twins, Ethan and Emma. To the outside world, we probably look like we have it all figured out. Nice house, 2 healthy babies, a husband with a stable job, a mother-in-law who's so involved and such a blessing. But the reality? The reality is that I'm barely surviving, and the person who should be my partner in this chaos is nothing more than a spectator with a front row seat to my unraveling. Let me take you back to the beginning, because I need you to understand how I ended up here, how a woman who once had ambitions and dreams became a shell of a person, crushed under the weight of twins and a marriage that exists only on paper. I met Marcus when I was 24. I was working as a marketing coordinator for a mid-sized tech company, finally feeling like my career was gaining momentum. He was charming, attentive, the kind of guy who remembered small details about conversations and always knew how to make me laugh. He worked in IT, something with network security that I never fully understood, but sounded impressive. We dated for 2 years before he proposed. It was thoughtful, romantic even. He'd planned this whole weekend getaway to Sedona, proposed at sunset with red rocks glowing behind us. I said yes without a second thought. I was in love. I believed we were building something beautiful together. The wedding was medium-sized, about 100 guests. My parents were thrilled. His mother, Patricia, cried during the entire ceremony. Happy tears, she assured everyone. She gave a speech at the reception about how she'd raised Marcus to be a good man and how lucky I was to be joining their family. That phrase, joining their family, should have been my first warning sign. Not they're joining our families together or we're becoming one family. No, I was joining their family, like I was being absorbed into something that had no intention of making room for me. But I didn't see it then. I was too busy being happy, being in love, being hopeful about our future. We got pregnant 10 months after the wedding. It wasn't planned, but we weren't preventing it either. We talked about kids, about wanting them eventually. Eventually just came sooner than expected. The pregnancy was brutal from the start. I was sick constantly. Not just morning sickness, but all-day debilitating nausea that made it impossible to work, to eat, to function. At 8 weeks, we went in for our first ultrasound, and that's when we found out. Twins. Marcus was thrilled. 2 for the price of 1, he joked. Like we were talking about a sale at Target and not 2 entire human beings we'd be responsible for. I was terrified. Patricia was over the moon. Twins! Oh, how wonderful! You know, Marcus was such an easy baby. I'm sure these 2 will be just like him. My own mother was more pragmatic. Twins are hard, Sarah. Really hard. You're going to need a lot of help. She was right. I did need help. I just didn't know yet that I wouldn't get it. The rest of the pregnancy was a nightmare. I was so sick I had to quit my job at 5 months. I couldn't keep anything down, couldn't stand for long periods, couldn't do much of anything except lie in bed and try not to vomit. The twins were measuring small, which meant constant doctor's appointments, stress tests, monitoring. Marcus was supportive in the way that people are supportive when they don't actually have to do anything. He came to most of the appointments. He told me I was strong and that I was doing great. He posted a picture on Facebook when we found out it was a boy and a girl. Couldn't be more blessed. #twins, #boy and girl, #fatherhood. But when I was lying in bed at 2 in the afternoon, too weak to get up and make myself lunch, Marcus was at work. When I was sobbing in the bathroom because I'd thrown up 6 times before noon, Marcus was at work. When I needed someone to hold my hand and tell me it would be okay, Marcus was at work. And when he came home, he was tired. He'd had a long day. He needed to decompress. So I suffered alone. Patricia would call every few days. How are my grandbabies doing? Not how are you doing? Always the babies, always Marcus. They're good, I'd say, because what else could I say? That I was miserable? That I was scared? That I felt like my body was being hijacked by 2 tiny humans and no one seemed to care about what that was doing to me. And Marcus? Is he taking good care of you? Yes, I'd lie. Good. I raised him right. He's going to be such a wonderful father.
The twins were born at 37 weeks via C-section. Emma's heart rate had dropped during labor, and the doctors rushed me into surgery. I remember the cold operating room, the bright lights, the feeling of being pulled apart. Marcus was there, holding my hand, but he looked pale and scared. When they pulled the babies out, first Ethan, then Emma, and I heard them cry, I felt this overwhelming rush of relief and terror. They were here, they were real, and I had no idea how I was going to survive. The first few weeks are a blur. I remember pain, so much pain from the C-section. I remember the babies crying constantly. I remember not sleeping. I remember Marcus going back to work after 1 week of paternity leave. 1 week. 7 days. That's all the time he took to help me with our newborn twins. I have to go back, he said apologetically. We need the income, you understand, right? I nodded, because what choice did I have? Patricia came to help for the first week after Marcus went back to work. I use the word help loosely because what she actually did was hold the babies when they were sleeping, take hundreds of photos to post on her Facebook, and give me constant unsolicited advice. You should let them cry it out. That's how I raised Marcus. You're holding them too much. You're going to spoil them. Are you sure you're producing enough milk? Emma seems hungry. You look exhausted. You should try to get more sleep. That last one was my favorite. Sleep. As if sleep was something I could just choose to do while caring for 2 newborns who took turns screaming throughout the night. I wanted to ask her when exactly I was supposed to sleep. Between the feeding every 2 hours? Between the diaper changes? Between the moments when one baby would finally settle and the other would start crying? But I didn't. I just smiled and nodded and said, "You're right, I'll try." Patricia would leave around 5 p.m. every day, conveniently before Marcus got home, before the evening chaos of trying to feed both babies, bathe them, soothe them, and somehow make dinner. "You're doing such a good job," she'd say as she walked out the door. "Marcus is so lucky to have you." And then she'd go home to her quiet house, her full night's sleep, her life that didn't involve being needed every second of every day. Meanwhile, I was learning what it meant to be truly, devastatingly alone. Here's what you need to understand about Marcus. He's very good at looking like a good father. He knows all the right things to say, all the right poses to strike, all the right moments to document. His Instagram is full of it. There's a photo from last month. Marcus sitting on the floor with both twins, all 3 of them smiling at the camera. The caption reads, "My whole world. Being a dad to just 2 was the greatest blessing of my life. Wouldn't trade it for anything. Hashtag twin dad, hashtag blessed, hashtag my everything, hashtag dad life." 843 likes. Over 100 comments. best dad ever. Your twins are so lucky. This is beautiful. You're killing the dad game. Goals. Wish my husband was this involved. Patricia raised you right. Such a good man. That last comment was from Patricia herself, by the way. I remember when he took that photo. It was a Sunday afternoon. I had spent the entire morning dealing with Emma's diaper rash, which meant multiple cream applications, outfit changes, and trying to keep her from crying, while Ethan simultaneously had a meltdown because he couldn't have a third cookie. Marcus had slept until 10:30 a.m. When he finally emerged from our bedroom, I was already on my fourth load of laundry. Both babies were fed and changed, and I was running on maybe 3 hours of sleep total from the night before. "Morning," he mumbled, heading straight for the coffee pot. I didn't even respond. I was too tired. Around 2 p.m., after I had gotten both babies down for their nap, a miracle that involved 30 minutes of rocking, shushing, and praying they'd both stay asleep, Marcus decided he wanted to take a picture. Let's get a cute shot of me with the twins. They're sleeping, so wake them up. I stared at him. You want me to wake them up after it took me half an hour to get them down? Just for a few minutes. Come on, it'll be cute. I should have said no. I should have told him that waking sleeping twins for a photo op was the stupidest idea in the history of parenting. But I was too tired to fight. So I woke them up. Emma started crying immediately, confused and upset. Ethan took a few seconds longer, but then he joined in. Marcus positioned himself on the floor, and I handed him both screaming babies. "Get them to smile," he said. "How?" I asked incredulously. "I don't know. Do that thing you do." The thing I do is being their mother. It's knowing that Emma likes to be bounced gently, while Ethan prefers to be rocked side to side. It's knowing their cries, their cues, their needs. But Marcus doesn't know any of that.
I grabbed Emma's favorite toy, a soft bunny with crinkly ears, and made exaggerated faces, hoping to distract her from her tears. It worked for about 5 seconds, long enough for Marcus to snap 3 quick photos. "Got it," he said triumphantly, handing both babies back to me. Emma was still crying. Ethan had started up again too. Marcus immediately went to his phone, scrolling through the photos, editing them with filters, crafting the perfect caption. I spent the next 45 minutes trying to calm both babies down, trying to get them back to sleep, trying not to scream. That photo got 843 likes. I got nothing except 2 exhausted, cranky babies and the knowledge that my husband cared more about his social media image than his children's well-being. This is what life with Marcus looks like. Performative fatherhood. Curated moments designed to make him look like Father of the Year while I do all the actual work. Let me give you another example. 2 months ago, we had a family gathering at Patricia's house, a barbecue for her birthday. I spent the entire week before dreading it. Gatherings at Patricia's house are always exhausting. She invites all of Marcus's relatives, about 30 people total, and somehow I'm expected to wrangle 2 toddlers, make small talk, and help with meal prep while Marcus sits in the backyard with his cousins drinking beer. The morning of the barbecue, I was up at 6 a.m. with the twins. Marcus slept until 9. I fed them breakfast, changed their diapers, got them dressed in the matching outfits Patricia had bought for them, little sailor suits that were absolutely impractical, but that she'd insisted they wear. I showered in under 5 minutes, threw on clean clothes, did the bare minimum with my makeup to hide the exhaustion on my face. Marcus took his time getting ready. Long shower, careful attention to his hair, cologne. We were supposed to be there by noon. At 11:45, Marcus was still getting ready while I had both babies in their car seats, the diaper bag packed with everything we'd possibly need, and a homemade pasta salad in a container because I'd been asked to bring something. "Can you hurry?" I called out. "We're going to be late." I'm coming," he said, annoyed. "Relax." Relax. My least favorite word in the English language. We arrived at 12:20. Patricia met us at the door, immediately reaching for the babies. "There are my precious angels," she cooed, taking Emma from her car seat. "Oh, don't they look adorable in their little outfits?" "Thanks for picking those out," I said, trying to sound grateful. She didn't acknowledge me. She was too busy making faces at Emma, who was smiling back at her grandmother. Marcus carried Ethan inside, and immediately his uncles and cousins descended on him. "Man, twins, how do you do it? You're a superhero, dude. I can barely handle one kid, two at the same time. No way." Marcus laughed, basking in the attention. "It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. Best thing I've ever done." "You haven't done anything!" I wanted to scream. "I'm the one doing everything." But I didn't. I just smiled and carried the diaper bag and the pasta salad into the kitchen, where Patricia's sisters were already prepping food. "Sarah, there you are. Can you help with the vegetables?" Of course. Because even at someone else's party, I'm expected to work. I spent the next 2 hours in the kitchen, chopping vegetables, setting up the buffet table, refilling drinks, and occasionally checking on the twins who were being passed around like party favors to various relatives who wanted their photo op with the adorable twins. Marcus was outside the entire time, drinking, laughing, playing cornhole with his cousins. At one point, I brought Emma inside to change her diaper. She'd had a blowout, which meant I needed to completely change her outfit. I was in Patricia's guest bathroom cleaning her up when Patricia knocked on the door. "Sarah, is everything okay?" "Yeah, just a diaper situation." "Oh, well, when you're done, can you bring out the desserts? They're in the fridge." "Sure," I said, trying to keep the frustration out of my voice. I finished changing Emma, washed my hands, brought out the desserts, and then went to find Ethan, who needed a diaper change too. I was exhausted. My back hurt from standing all day. My head was pounding. I hadn't eaten anything except a handful of crackers. Around 4 p.m., Marcus finally came inside, Emma in his arms. "Babe, can you take her? I want to get a picture with both twins." "Where's Ethan?" I asked. "My mom has him outside." Of course she does. I went outside and found Patricia holding Ethan, surrounded by a group of her friends. "Look at how good I am with babies," she was saying. "I had such a natural instinct for motherhood. I think Marcus inherited that from me." I wanted to laugh. Marcus didn't inherit anything related to parenting except the ability to show up and take credit. But I didn't. I just smiled and took Ethan from her. And she looked almost offended. "I was just bonding with my grandson," she said. "I know. Marcus wants a picture." Inside, Marcus had positioned himself on the couch, phone ready. I handed him both babies and he arranged them on his lap. "Get a picture of us," he said, handing me his phone. I took the picture. 5 of them, actually, because the first 4 weren't quite right. When he finally approved one, he took his phone back and immediately started posting. Caption: "Blessed to have these 2 little ones and the most amazing family. Life is good. So grateful. Hashtag twin dad. Hashtag family first. Hashtag blessed. Hashtag grateful." 30 seconds later, Patricia commented, "My beautiful grandbabies and my wonderful son. So proud of the father you've become."
I handed the twins back to various relatives and excused myself to the bathroom. I locked the door, sat on the edge of the tub, and cried silently for 5 minutes. When I came back out, no one noticed I'd been gone. That night, after we got home, after I'd bathed both babies, fed them dinner, put them in their pajamas, read them stories, and finally got them to sleep, I collapsed on the couch. Marcus was already there, scrolling through his phone, looking at all the comments on his post. "It was a good day," he said, absently. I looked at him. Really looked at him. And I realized something devastating. He genuinely believed that. He genuinely thought it had been a good day. Because, for him, it was. He got to socialize, drink beer, play games, and get praised for being a great dad while doing absolutely nothing. For me, it was just another day of being invisible. Another day of doing everything while he got all the credit. "Yeah," I said quietly, "a great day." He didn't hear the sarcasm, or maybe he did and just didn't care. Either way, he went back to his phone and I went to bed. Alone. Even though he was right there in the house. Even though we were married. Even though we were supposed to be partners. I was completely, utterly alone. If there's one thing that makes this whole situation infinitely worse, it's Patricia. Marcus's mother is not a cruel person. She's not intentionally malicious, but she's completely and utterly blind to who her son actually is, and her constant defense of him has become one of the heaviest weights I carry. Patricia calls herself a hands-on grandma. What that actually means is that she comes over several times a week, stays for 2 to 3 hours, holds whichever baby is currently calm and happy, takes approximately 60 photos, gives me unsolicited parenting advice, and leaves before things get difficult. She never stays for the evening witching hour when both babies are melting down. She never stays to help with dinner or bedtime. She never stays when it's actually hard. But she is always ready to defend Marcus. Last week was a perfect example. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Both babies had been up most of the previous night. Emma was teething and Ethan had developed this new habit of waking up whenever he heard his sister cry, which meant neither of them slept, which meant I didn't sleep. Marcus slept in the guest room. He said, "I have an important presentation tomorrow," as if my exhaustion was less important than his PowerPoint slides. By Tuesday afternoon, I was running on maybe 2 hours of total sleep. I was trying to do laundry, feed the babies lunch, and figure out what to make for dinner, all while fighting off a migraine. Patricia called around 1 p.m. "Hi, sweetheart, I'm in the neighborhood. Can I stop by to see my grandbabies?" I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell her that I was barely holding it together and that having a visitor, even a well-meaning one, would push me over the edge. But I said, sure, that's fine. She arrived 20 minutes later with Starbucks for herself, not for me, just for herself. "Oh my goodness, look at these angels," she cooed, immediately scooping up Emma, who had just finished eating and was actually calm for the first time all day. Ethan, covered in remnants of his lunch, reached for me, whining. "Hi, Patricia," I said, picking up Ethan and trying to wipe his face with the burp cloth. "How are my babies today?" she asked Emma, completely ignoring me. "They're okay. Rough night last night." "Oh?" She glanced at me briefly. "What happened?" "Emma's teething and Ethan kept waking up. We were up most of the night." "We?" she asked. "You and Marcus?" "Just me. Marcus slept in the guest room." She saw my expression tighten slightly. "Well, he does have to work. So do I said quietly. "It's different, honey. His job pays the bills. Your job," she gestured vaguely at the house, the babies, "is important too, but he needs his rest to perform at work." I felt something inside me crack. "Patricia, I haven't had a full night's sleep in 18 months. "I know it's hard," she said sympathetically, but there was an undertone of something else. Judgment, maybe.
But this is what being a mother is. It's sacrifice. I did it with Marcus, and yes, it was exhausting, but I survived. You will too. Did Marcus's father help? Her expression soured. His father worked very hard to provide for us. I never expected him to get up in the night. That was my job. But don't you think? Sarah, she interrupted gently but firmly. I know this generation has different ideas about parenting, but let me tell you something. The way I raised Marcus worked. He turned out wonderfully, and I did it without constantly complaining about needing help. The implication was clear. I was complaining. I was ungrateful. I wasn't as strong as she had been. I bit my tongue so hard, I tasted blood. She stayed for another hour, holding Emma while I changed Ethan's diaper, cleaned up the lunch dishes, and tried to fold laundry with a squirming toddler on my hip. When she finally left, she said, "You should try to rest while they nap. You look exhausted." After she left, I put both babies down for their nap, a 30-minute ordeal, and then I sat on the floor of the laundry room and cried. Because Patricia was right about one thing. I was exhausted. But what she didn't understand, what she refused to understand, was that I was exhausted because I was doing everything alone, because her wonderful son had checked out of active parenting, because the man she'd raised right was failing spectacularly as a father and a husband. But in Patricia's eyes, Marcus could do no wrong. When Emma started refusing bottles a few months ago and would only nurse, Patricia suggested that maybe I was holding her too much and she'd become too dependent. When Ethan went through a phase of hitting and biting, Patricia wondered if maybe I wasn't being firm enough with discipline. When our house was messy during one of her surprise visits, Patricia said, "I know it's hard to keep up with things, but a clean home is important for the children's development." Never mind that I'd been up since 5 a.m., that I'd already done 3 loads of laundry, that I'd spent 45 minutes trying to get stains out of Ethan's favorite shirt, that I'd made breakfast, lunch, and was planning dinner. Never mind any of that. The house was messy, so clearly I wasn't managing things well. But Marcus was perfect in her eyes. When he came home from work and went straight to play video games, he works so hard, he deserves to relax. When he slept through both babies crying, he's such a deep sleeper, just like his father was. When he spent his entire Saturday playing golf with his friends, it's important for men to have hobbies and social time. But if I suggested getting a babysitter so I could have coffee with a friend, "Oh, I don't know, Sarah. The twins are so young. Do you really think it's appropriate to leave them?" If I mentioned being tired, all mothers are tired. That's part of the job. If I expressed frustration with Marcus, marriage is work, honey. You have to be patient with him. He's learning. He's 32 years old. We've had these twins for 18 months. At what point does learning become choosing not to? But I can't say any of that to Patricia, because in her mind, I'm the problem. I'm not grateful enough, not patient enough, not strong enough. I'm not the mother she was. And therefore, any struggles I have must be my own fault. Last month, things came to a head. It was a Sunday morning. Marcus had gone out the night before with his friends, came home after midnight drunk and loud, waking up both babies who I'd just gotten to sleep after an hour of rocking and singing. I was furious, exhausted, and furious. When he woke up late Sunday morning, hungover and miserable, I was already on my 5th diaper change of the day. "Can you take them for a few hours? I really need a break." "I feel awful. I think I have food poisoning." "You're hungover, Marcus." "Same thing." "No, it's really not." "Look, can you just handle them today? I promise I'll help out more next weekend." It was empty promise number 500. I stopped counting months ago. "You say that every time, and you never follow through." That's not fair. I help. When? When do you help? I was playing with them yesterday before I went out. For 15 minutes. You played with them for 15 minutes while I made dinner, did laundry, cleaned the kitchen, and gave them both baths. Jesus, Sarah, why are you keeping score? Because I'm drowning. My voice broke. I'm drowning, Marcus, and you're just watching. You're watching me drown, and you're not even reaching out a hand. He looked uncomfortable. I think you're being dramatic. Dramatic? I haven't slept more than 3 hours at a time in over a year. I haven't had a full day to myself. I haven't had a conversation with an adult that wasn't about the twins or grocery lists or bills. I haven't felt like a person in so long, I can't even remember what that feels like. And you think I'm being dramatic? Lots of moms have twins. They manage. With help. They manage with partners who actually partner, with husbands who don't treat fatherhood like a hobby they can pick up when it's convenient.
He stood up, defensive now. I work 40 hours a week to support this family. And I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with no breaks, no paycheck, and no appreciation. We stared at each other, and I saw something in his eyes that made my blood run cold. Indifference. He didn't care. He genuinely did not care that I was falling apart. He grabbed his phone and left the room. 10 minutes later, I heard him on the phone. With Patricia. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught bits and pieces. Overreacting, so stressed out. I don't know what to do with her. My stomach dropped. 20 minutes later, Patricia called me. Sarah, honey, Marcus told me you two had a fight. We had a conversation about how I need more help. He said you were yelling at him. I was frustrated. I understand that, but honey, you have to understand something. Marcus is doing his best. He's working very hard to provide for you and those babies. Patricia, with all due respect, providing financially isn't the same as being present. I need him to be an actual father, not just a paycheck. There was a long pause. Sarah, I'm going to be very honest with you right now. I think you're expecting too much from him. I felt like I'd been slapped. Too much? I'm expecting him to parent his own children. He does parent them. He loves those babies. Loving them and actually taking care of them are two different things. I raised Marcus by myself, Patricia said, her voice getting sharper. His father worked long hours. I didn't complain. I didn't yell at my husband. I managed the home and the children because that was my role. And I think if you adjusted your expectations, you'd be a lot happier. My expectations, I said slowly, are that my husband should change a diaper more than once a month, that he should get up with the babies at night sometimes, that he should know what they eat, what they wear, when their doctor's appointments are. Those aren't unreasonable expectations, Patricia. Those are baseline parenting requirements. You're being very defensive right now. I'm being honest and very disrespectful to my son. There it was, the real issue. Not that Marcus was failing as a father, not that I was drowning, but that I was being disrespectful to her precious boy. I have to go. The twins need me. Sarah, wait, I'm just trying to help. I hung up. That night, Marcus didn't speak to me. The next day, he left for work without saying goodbye. When he came home, he was cold, distant. My mom's really upset. So am I. She said you were disrespectful to her. I told her the truth. She's just trying to help, Sarah. Why do you always have to make everything so difficult? I make things difficult? Marcus, I'm asking for the bare minimum from you, and your mother is defending your right to give me nothing. How is that me making things difficult? He shook his head. I don't want to fight. I'm tired. So am I. I'm so tired. But he didn't hear me.
He'd already left the room. Patricia didn't call or visit for 2 weeks after that, the longest stretch of peace I'd had in months. But when she finally did come over, things were different. She was polite, but cold. She held the babies, but barely spoke to me. When she did speak, it was surface-level pleasantries. How are they eating? Any new developments? Marcus said they're sleeping better. They weren't. But Marcus wouldn't know that because he wasn't the one up with them at 2 a.m. As she was leaving, she said, "I hope you're being nicer to Marcus these days. He's been very stressed." I didn't respond. What was the point? In Patricia's world, Marcus was the victim. Marcus was the one suffering. Marcus was the one who needed support and understanding. And I was the difficult daughter-in-law who didn't appreciate what I had. That's what makes this whole situation so much worse. It's not just that Marcus won't help. It's that every time I try to talk about it, every time I express how hard this is, his mother rushes to his defense like I'm attacking him rather than asking for basic partnership. It's that she's created this narrative where he's perfect and I'm the problem, and Marcus fully believes it. Why would he change when everyone around him keeps telling him he's already doing enough? Why would he step up when his mother keeps assuring him that any issues in our marriage are my fault for expecting too much? Why would he be a better father when he's constantly being told he's already Father of the Year? He wouldn't, and he won't. And I'm trapped here, drowning, while his mother hands him a life vest and tells me I should learn to swim better. Let me walk you through what a typical day looks like in my life, because I think it's the only way you'll truly understand the depth of my exhaustion. 5:30 a.m. My eyes open, not because of an alarm, but because my body has been trained by months of early wakings to automatically surface at this time. I lie still for a moment, listening. The house is quiet. Both babies are still asleep. I should try to sleep more. I should take advantage of this rare moment of peace. But I can't. My mind is already running through the day ahead. What we need from the grocery store, when Emma's pediatrician appointment is, whether I have enough clean bottles, if I remembered to move the laundry from the washer to the dryer last night. I slip out of bed quietly. Marcus is still asleep, sprawled across most of the mattress, his phone charging on the nightstand. He'll sleep until 7:30, maybe 8 on weekends. I tiptoe to the kitchen and start the coffee maker. While it brews, I take stock of what needs to be done today. The living room is a disaster zone. Toys scattered everywhere, burp cloths draped over every surface. 2 empty sippy cups under the couch. The kitchen isn't much better, last night's dishes still in the sink because I was too exhausted after putting the twins down to deal with them. I start loading the dishwasher, moving quietly, trying to get as much done as possible before Ethan starts crying. 5:47 a.m. 13 minutes of peace. That's all I got. I pour my coffee, still too hot to drink, and rush to the twins' bedroom. Ethan is standing in his crib, arms reaching for me, tears streaming down his little face. "Shh, it's okay, buddy," I whisper, lifting him out. "Let's not wake your sister." But it's too late. Emma starts stirring, and within 30 seconds, she's crying too. I change Ethan's diaper. He's soaked through his pajamas, which means I'll need to strip the crib sheet later, add it to the growing mountain of laundry. I grab Emma from her crib and change her too. Both babies are crying now, demanding breakfast, demanding attention, demanding me. I carry them both to the living room, one on each hip, my back already screaming in protest, and set them in their high chairs. I heat up 2 bottles while simultaneously trying to prepare their breakfast. Oatmeal for both, with mashed banana for Emma and blueberries for Ethan. My coffee sits on the counter, still untouched, getting cold. 6:15 a.m. Both babies are eating. Emma keeps spitting out her oatmeal, making a mess everywhere. Ethan is relatively calm, but he keeps dropping his spoon on the floor, which means I'm up and down, retrieving it, wiping it off, handing it back. I finally get to take a sip of my coffee. It's lukewarm now, but I don't care. The caffeine is all I'm after. Marcus emerges from the bedroom at 7 a.m., already dressed for work. He pours himself coffee from the fresh hot pot because, of course, there's still hot coffee for him, and sits at the kitchen table, scrolling through his phone. "Morning," he mumbles. "Morning," I reply, wiping oatmeal off Emma's face for the third time. He doesn't offer to help. He never does. He just sits there, drinking his coffee, looking at his phone, existing in his bubble of peace while I manage the chaos around him. "Did you sleep okay?" I ask, knowing the answer, but asking anyway. "Yeah, not bad. You?" "Ethan was up at 5:30. "Oh, that's early." That's it. That's the extent of his acknowledgement. No, "I'm sorry." No, "Is there anything I can do to help?" No, "Why don't you go rest and I'll handle breakfast?" Just, "Oh, that's early." He finishes his coffee, grabs his keys, and heads for the door. "Have a good day," I call out mechanically. "You too," and then he's gone. The door closes, and the silence that follows feels suffocating rather than peaceful. I clean both babies' faces and hands, lift them out of their high chairs, and set them loose in the living room while I tackle the breakfast dishes. The kitchen is a disaster. Oatmeal is smeared on the high chair trays, on the floor, somehow even on the wall. I clean it all up, load the dishwasher, wipe down the counters, sweep the floor. 8 a.m. I take both babies to their bedroom to get them dressed for the day. This is always an ordeal. Ethan hates having his diaper changed and screams through the entire process. Emma won't stay still long enough for me to get her outfit on properly. By the time they're both dressed, I'm sweating and exhausted, and it's not even 8:30 in the morning. I need a shower. I desperately need to shower. I haven't washed my hair in 4 days. I can smell myself, which means other people definitely can too. But there's no time. The babies need to be entertained. The laundry needs to be switched. I need to figure out what to make for lunch, for dinner. I need to make a grocery list because we're out of so many things. So I pull my greasy hair into a ponytail, splash water on my face, brush my teeth, and call it good enough. 9 a.m. I set both babies up in the living room with their toys and try to fold the laundry from yesterday. But every 30 seconds, one of them needs something. Ethan keeps trying to climb the bookshelf. Emma keeps crying because she can't reach a toy she wants. I fold maybe 5 items in 20 minutes before I give up and just sit on the floor with them, building towers of blocks so Ethan can knock them down, reading the same bored book to Emma for the 17th time today. 10:30 a.m. Both babies are getting fussy. It's almost nap time, but first I need to give them a snack, change their diapers again, and somehow convince them to settle down. I give them each a sippy cup with milk and some crackers. Emma throws most of hers on the floor, Ethan eats about half, and then smashes the rest into the couch cushions. I clean it up. Again. 11 a.m. Nap time. This is the most crucial part of my day. If I can get them both down at the same time, I'll have maybe an hour, maybe, to get things done or, on a very lucky day, rest. I take Emma to her crib first. She's rubbing her eyes, clearly tired, but she fights sleep like it's her sworn enemy. I rock her, sing to her, pat her back. After 20 minutes, her eyes finally close. I hold my breath as I lower her into the crib, terrified she'll wake up. She doesn't. Miracle. Now for Ethan. He's harder. He never wants to nap. He fights it every single time. I rock him for 30 minutes, walking around his room, swaying, shushing, doing everything I can to get him to sleep. Finally, his body goes limp in my arms. I ease him into his crib, every movement glacially slow. He stays asleep. It's 11:45 a.m. I have maybe an hour if I'm lucky. I should sleep. I should absolutely sleep, but I can't. There's too much to do. I rush through the apartment like a tornado, fold the laundry, start another load, clean the kitchen again because there's somehow more mess, pick up the toys in the living room, wipe down the bathroom sink, respond to a few urgent emails, make a grocery list, figure out what to make for dinner. My phone buzzes. A text from Marcus. What's for dinner tonight? I want to throw my phone across the room. I text back, not sure yet, maybe chicken? Cool. Can you make that thing with the rice and vegetables? That was good. That thing takes an hour to make. An hour I don't have. An hour when both babies will likely be awake and needing my attention. But I text back, sure. Because what else can I say? 12:30 p.m. Emma wakes up crying. 45 minutes. That's all I got. I change her diaper, take her to the living room, and try to entertain her while I simultaneously try to finish the few tasks I didn't get to during nap time. 1 p.m. Ethan wakes up. He's cranky from not sleeping long enough. He cries for 20 minutes straight, and nothing I do soothes him. Emma starts crying too, feeding off his energy. I'm standing in the middle of the living room with two screaming toddlers, and I feel myself starting to crack. I take deep breaths, count to 10, remind myself that they're just tired, just overwhelmed, just little humans who don't know how to regulate their emotions yet. I pick up Ethan and bounce him gently. I turn on a kid's show for Emma. Slowly, gradually, they both calm down. 12:30 p.m. Lunchtime. I make them grilled cheese sandwiches and cut up fruit. They eat maybe half of what I give them. The rest ends up on the floor, on their clothes, smeared on the high chair trays. I eat standing up at the kitchen counter. The leftover crust from their sandwiches and a handful of their fruit. It's the first thing I've eaten today besides coffee. 2 p.m. More playtime, more mess. More constant vigilance to make sure Ethan doesn't hurt himself climbing things and Emma doesn't put small objects in her mouth. 3 p.m. Snack time. More mess, more cleaning. 3:30 p.m. Both babies are getting fussy again. They're tired but won't nap. They're bored but won't play with their toys. They want me. Both of them simultaneously pulling at me from different directions. I'm touched out. Completely, utterly touched out. I feel like my skin is crawling. I need space. I need silence. I need not to be needed for 5 minutes. But I don't get that. I never get that. 4 p.m. I somehow manage to get both babies calm enough that I can start preparing dinner. I put them in their playpen in the kitchen where I can see them and start cooking. Marcus's requested thing with chicken, rice, and vegetables. Both babies are crying because they want out of the playpen. I'm trying to chop vegetables while simultaneously making sure the rice doesn't burn and the chicken doesn't overcook. My phone rings. Patricia. I let it go to voicemail. I just can't deal with her right now. She calls again. I answer. Hi, Patricia. Sarah, I've been trying to reach you. How are my grandbabies? They're fine. A bit fussy right now. Oh, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. They're just tired. Are you feeding them enough? Sometimes when babies are fussy, it's because they're hungry. I close my eyes and count to 5. They just had a snack an hour ago. Well, maybe they need more. Growing babies need a lot of food. They're fine, Patricia. I'm just trying to help. I know. Listen, I'm in the middle of making dinner. Can I call you back later? Oh, of course, I won't keep you. But before you go, I was thinking of coming by tomorrow to see the twins. Would that work? Tomorrow, when I have Emma's doctor appointment and desperately need to go to the grocery store and was hoping to maybe, possibly, finally get to shower. But I say, sure, that's fine. Wonderful! I'll bring some treats for the babies. See you tomorrow. She hangs up, and I feel the weight of another obligation settling on my shoulders. 5:30 p.m. Marcus walks through the door just as I'm plating dinner. Perfect timing, as always. He doesn't have to deal with the crying, the chaos, the dinner prep. He just gets to sit down to a ready meal. "Hey," he says, kissing the top of my head absently. "Smells good." I've taken both babies out of the playpen. They're hanging on my legs, still fussy, while I try to set the table with one hand. Marcus goes straight to the couch and turns on the TV. "Marcus, can you take them for a minute while I finish up?" He sighs. "I just got home. I need a minute to decompress." "I've been decompressing for 12 hours. "That's not the same thing, Sarah. I've been dealing with people all day. And I've been dealing with two tiny people who can't communicate their needs and scream when they're unhappy all day, without a break." He looks at me, annoyed. "Fine, Jesus." He takes Ethan, just Ethan, leaving me with Emma still attached to my leg. We eat dinner in near silence. Marcus scrolls through his phone with one hand while eating with the other. Ethan is in his high chair throwing food. Emma is in my lap because she won't sit in her own chair. I eat maybe 5 bites before both babies need something and my food goes cold. After dinner, Marcus announces he's going to help by taking the twins while I clean up. He takes them to the living room and turns on the TV. Within 5 minutes, he's on his phone while both babies watch cartoons. That's his version of helping. Passive supervision while screens do the actual work. I clean the kitchen again, load the dishwasher again, wipe down the counters again, sweep the floor again. 7 p.m. Bath time. I fill the tub, undress both babies, and somehow manage to wash them both while they splash water everywhere and try to drink the bath water. Marcus appears in the doorway. "Need help?" "I'm almost done." "Cool." He disappears. I get both babies out, dry them off, put them in pajamas, and carry them to their bedroom for story time. I read 3 books, the same books we read every night because they're the only ones that keep both babies' attention. By 7:45, they're both in their cribs. Emma goes down relatively easily. Ethan fights it, crying for 15 minutes before finally exhausting himself to sleep. 8 p.m., both babies are asleep. I should feel relief. I should feel like I can finally breathe. But all I feel is empty. I go to the living room where Marcus is playing video games. "Down?" he asks without looking up. "Yeah." "Nice. Good job." Good job. Like I'm an employee who completed a task rather than a mother who just survived another day. I sit on the couch, too tired to move, too tired to think. Marcus plays his game. I stare at my phone, scrolling through social media without really seeing anything. Around 9:30, Marcus says he's going to bed. "You coming?" he asks. "In a bit." He shrugs and leaves. I stay on the couch until 10:30, just sitting in the quiet, trying to find some piece of myself in the silence. When I finally go to bed, Marcus is already asleep, snoring softly. I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, and I think I have to do this all again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. This is my life, an endless cycle of feeding, changing, cleaning, cooking, soothing, an endless stream of needs that must be met, problems that must be solved, messes that must be cleaned. And I'm doing it all alone. Even though I'm married, even though their father lives in this house, even though we're supposed to be partners. I'm alone. And I don't know how much longer I can keep going. 3 days ago, something happened that should have been a wake-up call for Marcus. Should have been, but wasn't. It was 2 a.m. Both babies had been up multiple times already. Emma was inconsolable, screaming with what I suspected was an ear infection. Ethan had woken up from her crying and couldn't settle back down. I'd been up for 3 hours straight, bouncing, rocking, singing, trying everything. I was at the end of my rope. I went to the guest room where Marcus had been sleeping, because of course he was sleeping, and I shook him awake. Marcus, I need help. Groan. What time is it? 2 a.m. I need you to take Ethan. I think Emma has an ear infection, and I need to focus on her. Can't it wait until morning? I stared at him, this man I married, this father of my children, and something inside me shattered. No, Marcus, it can't wait. Our daughter is in pain. Our son is overtired and upset. I have been up for 3 hours. I need you to get up and help me right now. Maybe it was the tone of my voice. Maybe it was seeing the tears streaming down my face. Whatever it was, he finally got up. He took Ethan to the living room while I tried to comfort Emma in her room. 15 minutes later, I heard Ethan screaming even louder. I went to check and found Marcus on the couch, Ethan crying in his arms while Marcus stared at his phone. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Googling how to get him to stop crying." "You're his father. You should know how to comfort your own child." "I don't know what he wants." "He wants to be rocked, gently, and he likes it when you hum, and he needs his stuffed elephant, the blue one." Marcus looked at me like I'd just spoken a foreign language. And that's when it hit me. He didn't know his own children. After 18 months of being their father, he didn't know their comfort objects, their soothing techniques, their rhythms and patterns, because he'd never bothered to learn. I took Ethan back. I got him settled while simultaneously trying to keep Emma calm. By 4 a.m., both babies were finally asleep. Marcus had gone back to bed at 2:30. The next morning, I was a zombie. I'd gotten maybe 90 minutes of sleep total. Emma clearly had an ear infection. She was tugging at her ear and had a low fever. I called the pediatrician and got an appointment for that afternoon. Marcus left for work at 7:30. "Hope he gets some rest today," he said on his way out. I wanted to laugh. Rest with 2 sick toddlers and a doctor's appointment. Sure. I took both babies to the doctor. Emma had a double ear infection and needed antibiotics. The doctor also mentioned that Ethan's weight was slightly concerning. He was on the lower end of the growth chart. "Are you making sure he's eating enough at meals?" the doctor asked. I felt a flash of defensiveness. "Yes, he's just a picky eater." "Have you tried?" "I've tried everything," I said more sharply than I intended. "Different foods, different textures, different times of day. He eats what he eats." The doctor nodded sympathetically. "I know it's hard, especially with twins. Just keep doing what you're doing." But I left that appointment feeling like I'd failed somehow, like Ethan's weight was another thing I wasn't doing right. That evening, I mentioned it to Marcus. "The doctor said Ethan's weight is a bit low." "Oh, is he sick?" "No, he's just a picky eater. The doctor wants us to monitor it." "Okay." "Marcus, did you hear me?" "Yeah, Ethan's weight. We'll monitor it." "Got it." "Don't you want to know what the doctor said about Emma?" "You already told me. Ear infection, antibiotics." Right, but I had to take both of them to the appointment by myself while you were at work. Do you have any idea how hard that is? Getting two toddlers in and out of car seats, keeping them calm in the waiting room, managing them both during the exam? I was working, Sarah. What was I supposed to do? You could take time off. Other dads do. I can't just take time off whenever. You took time off last month to play golf. That was planned way in advance. So is being a father, Marcus. That was planned 18 months in advance. Here we go again, he muttered. Here we go again. Yes, here we go again because nothing changes. I keep telling you I need help and you keep acting like I'm asking for something unreasonable. You knew having twins would be hard. Yes, I knew it would be hard, but I thought I'd have a partner. I thought you'd be in this with me. Instead, I'm a single parent who just happens to live with another adult. That's not fair. What's not fair is that I'm doing everything while you coast through fatherhood, taking credit for work you don't do. We were both raising our voices now. I heard Emma start to cry from her room. Our fighting had woken her up. Great. Now look what you did. What I did? I went to get Emma, done with the conversation, done with him. The next day, Patricia called. Marcus told me you two are having problems. Of course he did. Of course he ran to his mother. We're fine, I lied. He said you're very stressed, that you've been snapping at him. Patricia, I'm exhausted. I'm doing everything by myself. But Marcus works very hard. I know he works, but working doesn't exempt him from being a father. Sarah, I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm worried about you. I think you might be experiencing some postpartum depression. I felt my blood pressure spike. I'm not depressed. I'm drowning. Those can look the same, honey. Maybe you should talk to a doctor. Get on some medication. I don't need medication. I need help. I help you. I come over several times a week. You come over and hold sleeping babies for an hour and then leave before things get hard. That's not help. Silence. Then, I think you need to adjust your attitude, Sarah. You're being very ungrateful right now. Ungrateful? Yes. You have a wonderful husband who provides for you. You have two beautiful, healthy children. You have me trying to support you. And all you do is complain. I hung up. I literally just hung up the phone. And then I sat on the bathroom floor and cried until I couldn't cry anymore. That was 3 days ago. Since then, Patricia hasn't called. Marcus has been even more distant than usual. The twins are still sick. Emma's ear infection is slowly improving, but now Ethan has a cold. And I'm still here, still doing everything, still drowning. This morning, I woke up and realized something terrible. I don't remember the last time I felt happy. Not stressed, not tired, not overwhelmed. Actually happy. I used to be happy. I remember that feeling, even if it seems like a lifetime ago. I used to laugh easily. I used to have interests beyond keeping tiny humans alive. I used to look forward to things. Now I just endure. I endure the endless days that blur together. I endure the sleepless nights. I endure the loneliness of being married to someone who doesn't see me. I endure the judgment from my mother-in-law. I endure the weight of being everything to everyone while being nothing to myself. I endure because I don't know what else to do. Leaving seems impossible, financially, logistically, emotionally. I have no income, no recent work experience, no family nearby who could help. My parents live across the country and are in their late 60s, not capable of helping with twin toddlers. And even if I could leave, what then? Joint custody means Marcus would have the twins alone sometimes. and he can barely manage them for an hour. What would happen during an entire weekend? So, I stay. Not because I want to, not because I love Marcus anymore. I'm not even sure I do. I stay because staying seems like the only option. And every day I stay, a little more of me disappears. Last night, after both babies were finally asleep, I did something I haven't done in months. I opened my laptop. I pulled up my old portfolio, the marketing work I used to do before I got pregnant, campaigns I'd created, strategies I'd developed, work I'd been proud of. I barely recognized the person who created those things. She was confident, capable, someone who had ideas and ambitions and a sense of self. I don't know where that person went. I think she disappeared somewhere between the first night of no sleep and the 500th diaper change and the 1,000th time Marcus said, "I'm too tired," and walked away. I closed the laptop and went to bed. Marcus was already asleep. I lay there in the dark and I thought about all the ways my life has narrowed since becoming a mother. I thought about the friends I've lost touch with because I don't have time or energy for socializing. I thought about the hobbies I've abandoned because there's no space in my life except for survival. I thought about the career I'll probably never resume because there's an 18-month gap on my resume that screams, "She chose family over work." I thought about the marriage I'm in that feels more like a prison than a partnership. And I thought, is this it? Is this all there is? Is this what the rest of my life looks like? I don't know. All I know is that I'm 29 years old and I feel ancient. All I know is that I'm surrounded by people, Marcus, the twins, Patricia, and I've never felt more alone. All I know is that I'm supposed to be grateful for this life, but mostly I just feel trapped. And I don't know if it will ever get better. Everyone keeps saying it gets easier. But when? When the twins are 2, 3, 5? When Marcus magically transforms into an involved father? When Patricia suddenly sees her son clearly and stops blaming me for everything? I'm not holding my breath for any of those things. So I just keep going. One day at a time, 1 hour at a time, one breath at a time, until even breathing feels like too much effort. This morning, I woke up at 5:30 to Ethan crying. I got both babies up, changed, fed. I made Marcus's coffee. I cleaned the kitchen. I started laundry. I played with the twins. I made lunch. I put them down for naps. I cleaned some more. They woke up. I made dinner. Marcus came home. We ate in silence. I gave the twins baths. I put them to bed. And now I'm sitting here, writing this all down, trying to make sense of a life that makes no sense. Trying to find myself in the ruins of who I used to be. Trying to figure out how to survive tomorrow when I barely survived today. And the worst part? Tomorrow will be exactly the same. Until one day, I won't even recognize myself in the mirror. Until one day, I'll be completely gone. Just a ghost in my own life. A mother, a wife, a daughter-in-law, but not Sarah. Never Sarah anymore. Just a woman who makes sure everyone else is okay while slowly dying inside. That's my story. That's my life. And I don't know how it ends. I just know that if nothing changes, I'll disappear completely. And no one will notice. Not Marcus, not Patricia, not anyone. Because I've been disappearing for 18 months already. And no one has noticed yet.